first experience was when I was on the train going into work, and I didn't know what it was at the time.
Over a long weekend, I just suddenly realised I couldn't face up to the tasks that were before me in the following week.
26th year of my career. I had no ideas, I just lost motivation, but didn't know why.
I had extra time added to a dissertation at the end of uni because I woke up in the middle of the night with a panic attack.
It was for a very specific reason, and it needed to be dealt with. But I also knew at that point that in dealing with it, that my life would never be the same again.
I think the absolute low point was when my wife drove me to the Priory. I'd seen a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist had referred me because they thought I was a high risk. And I can remember seeing my wife drop me off a place that I never thought I would go to. And I was admitted, and they were asking my wife, was I a good husband? Had I abused any of them? Had there been any instance of drugs? And I then got admitted into a room. I was on a 15-hour watch. They wouldn't let me go out.
It got to the stage where I virtually couldn't go out of the house. The only thing I could do, I managed to keep going to work because I knew I had to. And that has kind of kept me going, but even just to go to the corner shop, go to the supermarket, I don't think I did that for virtually a year.
And I could just feel it. My hands were clamming up, I could feel queasy. And then I asked if I could go and open the window because they'd closed it because it was a construction site outside. And by the time I'd sort of got to the window and opened it, I'd sort of like slumped down on the floor.
When you're in it, you don't think you'll get out of it. You can't see any light at the end of the tunnel. You basically fall into this bottomless pit.
You feel so lonely when you're going through a period. For me, a cyclical period of depression, it's such a lonely, lonely place. It's such a very dark place.
I had so much doubt about whether I was worthwhile.
You're normally in control, and when you get it, you lose all control. You can't do anything. I couldn't get my hair cut because I was just terrified. I couldn't cook a meal, didn't want to see anybody, wouldn't go out.
And it was almost like you would rather have a really bad physical illness. Almost the stage where I did say at some point I would rather have cancer, which is an awful thing to say, and I wouldn't wish that on anyone, but at least then you feel like you would get the support where you couldn't get that for a mental health issue.
I mean, I've had a 30-year career. I've worked in numerous property organisations. I've been on the board of numerous property companies, and without doubt there is a feeling that you've failed if you have to front up to mental health issues.
I didn't say to work because I think because it wasn't a medical condition, so I didn't feel like I could say anything about it because I didn't want them judging me.
It took me about a decade to come to terms with my depression. The early part of that decade was just me worrying about what was going on. Why couldn't I deal with things all the time?
I just feel like you're a complete failure because you can't just do normal life.
But I was in a very, very dark place. And there weren't that many outcomes.
Find somebody in your organisation that you feel would be supportive. So many of the bigger organisations now have got policies in place and do understand the stresses and issues that people are going through. And even if you just talk to them on an informal basis, you might find that actually there's a lot more support out there.
And you will recover. At the start, you don't think there is a cat's chance. You simply don't know how you can recover.
It's like a lot of other sort of long-term conditions. You're never actually free of it. You just learn how to deal with it and manage it.
Talking to loved ones, talking to friends, and talking to work colleagues, I think, has got to be part of the solution.
And being able to talk about it, even just to that one person, means you're not holding it in. And if you're not repressing how you feel and you can be true to that, then that should help you actually manage your symptoms.
I did feel at one level this is just me showing a sign of weakness in the world, but I've overcome that now as well. And in fact, I've tried to turn that into a strength, that I've been able to have a successful career And during a long period of that time, I've been suffering from cyclical periods of depression. So to me now, it's almost a case of, well, if I can achieve all of that whilst dealing with this illness, that's a good thing, not a bad thing.
And there were times when I sat in front of the counsellor, and in some of those sessions I sat down and I couldn't speak for an hour. It's absolutely terrifying. But for me personally, it had to be done. And it's just dragging that courage from somewhere to just being able to go and seek help. That's the first step.
So I went to the Supercharge Your Wellbeing seminar in September 2016, and we've got a really good group where people can talk openly, and that's kind of where it started, where they were opening up about their experiences, which made me feel safe to open up about mine.
If I'd been sitting here 4 years ago thinking this was about to happen, would I do something different? It was difficult then to pick up the phone to somebody and say, what do I do? Now there are options. So in some ways, for all the wrong reasons, I'm quite pleased to have gone through what I went through, as it was definitely a life experience.